What's going on, guys? Dakota back with another video, and today we're going over another continuation pattern, and the pattern we'll be going over is the triangle, primarily the symmetrical triangle. At least that's the main one that I trade, right? Now what I'm going to show you really flows into every triangle that you're really going to see. That's your ascending, descending triangle. Yeah, ascending, descending, and then symmetrical, pretty much it, honestly, with the triangles. At least that comes to my mind. So let's go ahead and get into this. Like I said, we are going to be going over continuation patterns over the next few lessons. So the triangle is another continuation pattern, or at least I use it as a continuation pattern. It's more likely to go in the same direction as the impulse as opposed to anything else. Now, how to identify this pattern is relatively simple. All right, it's not too difficult to identify this pattern. Now, of course, you're gonna want to have an impulse before that, before the pattern shows up, usually, and majority of the time you'll see this. You'll get an impulse. Let's say we have an impulse down, and then you have a strong pullback, right? A strong pullback, right? Strong corrective movement. And then price comes down, but it doesn't come down to that low. It comes a little short of it, and then it just keeps narrowing and narrowing and narrowing before it eventually breaks out. Okay, and this is your triangle, right? If you just connect the highs and the lows here, right, it's not that hard to see why it's called a triangle, because it forms a triangular shape, right? And to give like a textbook definition, it's very easy to notice from the sloping support and resistance lines that you're drawing. Those are the lines that we just drew here, this support and resistance here. All right, those sloping lines connect those highs and lows. You can see there's your triangle. Okay, now it all comes to a focal point. You start with this wide base. You see that these start relatively far apart, right? Pretty far apart. And just to put it in plain terms, it's a base of a triangle, right? You can see the base of the triangle there. Then it comes to a focal point, which is called the apex. This portion right here where these connect is called the apex. And it's not just a buzzword, at least with what I'm going to show you. With what I'm going to show you, knowing that this is the apex, it's going to make it a lot simpler to explain some other things that we're going to talk about, especially entry, or primarily entry off of this pattern. It's going to be very, very vital that you know I have to pay attention to that apex. I have to know where it is. All right. And the focal point, or the apex, is the furthest to the right on the chart. Okay, it's not going to be to the left, not even if you're buying or selling. It's not reversal. Like price, as price produces itself or shows itself on the chart, price continues moving to the right. It doesn't move to the left. Okay, now the reason this apex is important is because it helps us determine where we should be looking for an entry here. Okay, unlike the other patterns that we've gone over so far, they retrace, and they usually retrace up to a kill zone area. Now we'll have a detailed video over kill zone. If you're a student and been with me for a while, you have a pretty good idea about kill zones. Kill zones are essentially just support resistance areas, and with those other patterns, if you go back through those videos, I would draw something like this and wait for price to get up to that point. And then in that area, that's where I would look to buy or sell. That's my area, or that's this little zone here is telling me I should be looking for a sell. But we can see here, this triangle doesn't really go up there, at least towards the end of it. It just continues pushing down. Now, solution to that is knowing when is price most likely going to break out of this triangle. All right. Now, some really smart people, not me, some really smart people did a lot of calculations and found at least an average of when price is most likely going to break out of this pattern. Okay, and what you're going to want to do to figure this out, you're going to want to go to fib time zone. Gonna want to go to fib time zone, click on the base of the triangle right there, and then click again at the apex of the triangle right there. Okay, now if you double click on this, you want to change this to 0.73 and 0.75. okay, and this is really fine-tuned, so that's why I have it really tight there. Now at this point, this is usually where price breaks out of this triangle. This is usually the area price breaks out of the triangle, between the 73% and 75% of the triangle height, essentially, right? So that's very vital information. If you don't really understand it, strongly recommend you going to the FinVids and checking out the triangle chart or understanding triangles, going through this information. This is actually where I learned this from, and through backtesting I found it to be extremely true and extremely valuable, because it keeps me away from entering here or entering early when the pattern isn't really established, or possibly even getting faked out with some of these dips or some of these valleys that happen here. Okay, so at this point, by the time it gets to 73, I know, okay, I should be looking for a breakout, I should be looking for this to push out, and as soon as I get that confirmation tell me the price is ready to push out of here, I can either wait for a pullback to this area and then look for a continuation, or I could enter off the break of that pattern there. All right, but that's the triangle, the basis of it, and use it the same exact way for a bullish market. Like if it's bullish, we have a bullish impulse, we get a symmetrical triangle there, I'm going to be trading it the same way, just upside down. The only difference is at this point is I'm hitting the buy button instead of the sell button. Okay, but let's go ahead and find a few examples. What is a pair? Let's see if we can find a triangle on this pair. Now I will say I do not trade this pattern a lot, and it's not really because I don't like the pattern or I haven't tested as much. It's that because I have tested it and back testing, it's just that it doesn't show up a lot, at least for the pairs that I trade. All right, so here we have a triangle. You can see we have this nice little base here, and at this base, if we just take it from the first candle that started the triangle, we can go all the way over here to the apex right there. That's incorrect. An apex, and we can see like in that area price broke out of the channel or broke out of the triangle and started making this move up. Okay, now if you want to understand how far a take profit could be on this, that type of thing, you want to get a deeper understanding, again, go to FinVids. It gives a very detailed explanation, gives a lot of numbers for you guys. In future videos, I will be showing you how to set SL and take profit on this pattern, and essentially for every pattern that I have. So this pattern is relatively easy once you get the hang of it and are able to notice it pretty easily. Okay, so that's the triangle, and this is obviously a bullish example of that. Let's try one more time to find a bearish example. And if you are wondering, does this pattern work on every time frame? Yes, like patterns, every single pattern that I show you can be found on every single time frame. I'll say it one more time, every single pattern that I show you guys can be found on every single time frame. The way that I look at the market and the way that I'm teaching you guys is essentially look at the market as a fractal. If you don't know what fractals are, strongly recommend just researching a YouTube video on it. There's some really good videos and obviously they're not related to trading. Okay, there's some really good videos that give a detailed explanation as to what a fractal is, and once you can see that, or what you really understand that and grasp that concept, I truly believe, number one, understanding these patterns and understanding how to capitalize off of them, especially understanding how to capitalize off these patterns, will become 1,000 times easier. All right, so there's that. Now, again, I said this pattern is pretty rare, at least on the pairs that I pay attention to. They happen a lot on Bitcoin. I remember when I was heavily trading Bitcoin, this pair would always produce a triangle almost just about every day, if I remember correctly. Just about every day I was trading the triangle when I was trading Bitcoin. But again, homework for this: find 5 triangles on 5 different pairs. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles on Bitcoin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles on EuroCAD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles on 3 other pairs. And again, the challenge: find every triangle on whatever pair you wish, whatever pair you choose. Bitcoin, at least for me, I strongly recommend, because it'll be the easiest to notice them, or at least for me, it wasn't the easiest to notice it. But find every triangle on the 1 hour time frame. And what I mean by that is literally scrolling all the way back as far as this chart allows you to go. Until you're at the very beginning where it doesn't show anymore. Bitcoin, relatively new compared to other things, so you'll be able to see probably the entire chart, but not on the 1 hour. And then find every single triangle all the way until today's date. Okay, guys, so I hope this helps. I hope this was clear. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to me or comment in the comment section, and I will catch you guys later.